What do you guys enjoy more about the NFL offseason? D, T, or F? D for draft, T for trade, F for free agency. Drop that answer for me in the comments right now. From Tyler Samples, who should the Panthers bring in? I'm not sure how many more moves they'll make in free agency. They've spent some big cash already. An edge rusher makes sense. Another veteran guy like, maybe Jadeveon Clowney. I wouldn't have that much interest in Michael Gallup, frankly. I think you've got guys that can't separate already. Draft time, probably a young pass rusher. Should consider the cornerback market as well. Never say no to more offensive line help. And I would love a speedy, young, athletic receiver with one of those round 2 picks. Lad McConkey could make sense. Troy Franklin could make some sense as well. From John Dorman, shout out Tom, back on NFL Daily. Thank you, John. An OG show with you and Mitch. I do love Mitch. That's my guy. He's very busy with Raiders. I'm busy with Cowboys. And we've kind of gone to the one-man shows than the two-man shows these days. Thoughts on RG3 tanking on Williams? I think, on Williams. Like, the Bears were rebuilding. So, yeah, like, the Bears failed Justin Fields, and they were right to move on and go with the new young quarterback. Both of those things are true as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't love the take, frankly. The Bears are, in terms of, like, best landing spots for Caleb Williams, a team that's invested some assets into the offensive line, a team that has a defense that has shown promise and added some more pieces again, a wide receiver room of DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet and, maybe another draft pick. That's a pretty decent spot to go into. So I don't fully agree on the RG3 take there. From Martin, are the Niners going to trade Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel? I wouldn't be that shocked if they traded one of them. I would almost wonder if they'd rather move on from Deebo, more dead money versus the savings, but you still have to pay Brandon Aiyuk long-term in the process there. I know there's been some conversations with the Niners on trading away Deebo Samuel as some of their other bigger deals that ended up not materializing. That's fine, happens all the time. The Steelers are so heavily linked now to Brandon Aiyuk, but would the Niners really give him up for like a first-round pick? They did it for Eric Armstead, or DeForest Buckner all those years ago. That did not work out very well for them because they missed on Javon Kinlaw. I don't know what their plan is going to be. I'm curious how it all plays out. If you had to trade one, though, and you were the 49ers, pick one to trade. BA for Brandon Aiyuk, DS for Deebo Samuel. It's the pinned comment on this video. Ignore the ad plays. Go vote instead. From Big Bo, Trey White and the 49ers. Is it a thing? I'm going to guess he ends up going elsewhere. I think it was Travarius Ward who was trying to get Trey White to San Francisco. They've got Isaac Yiadom, however you pronounce it. I can't remember what the pronunciation is there. Ward, of course, Ambry Thomas, Diamador Lenore. If White, doesn't sign with a team like the Giants or Chargers or wherever he's visiting, maybe. I would guess no for now, though. The medicals are the big thing for Trey White, and we'll have to wait and see on that. From MG Imp Show, give me your take on Jordan Travis's draft stock. I think day 3. Let me pull up my notes here that I did the other week, day, whatever, month. I don't know. I did it post-combine, pre-free agency start, somewhere in that range on Jordan Travis. There are things to like about him as a backup quarterback, by the way. Like, that dude is tough as hell. I think he's a very good leader as well. But he's been in college for 6 years now. And he kind of maxed out as a good but not dynamic quarterback who didn't put up the best results and surpassed like 3,000 yards, I think, once in college. That's not great production. The arm is okay. There is some running ability. There is some mobility that raises the floor of the backup quarterback stuff. I think mid-ish day 3, especially coming off that brutal, nasty, awful leg injury, is about where he ends up going. I think backup is what Jordan Travis ends up being. From Adam, what is Stefon Diggs tweeting about? The same crap he always tweets about. I don't know how people keep falling for this. Like, not like the actual media people, like, ooh, Diggs is tweeting again. Well, yeah, he always tweets cryptic stuff. Like, constantly tweets it. This is what he does every single offseason. It means nothing. The Bills, it makes no sense for the Bills to trade him because they lose like $3 million on top of his $27 million cap hit. That doesn't make any sense. I gave my answer, I guess, to this question already. But will the Bills end up trading away Stefon Diggs? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comments. From Lore, what will the Niners get back for Brandon Aiyuk? If they trade him, I think you're looking at something in the first round plus range. First round pick, probably in that mid to late first round range that they'll then spend on a receiver, or they get a player back that can also help them receiver or somewhere else, or another, day two-ish, late day two-ish draft pick there. Brandon Aiyuk is very well regarded in the NFL, and I doubt the Niners would give him away for nothing. From EV, should Carolina call New England for Juju Smith-Schuster? I would not. I don't need another receiver who doesn't bring game-breaking speed. I have those guys on the roster. I have guys that can handle slot duties. I have guys that can, be older veterans for my team. If I'm Carolina, I'm looking for some athletic ability. I'm looking for speed that they don't truly have, even including Deontay Johnson. I'm going young, not another veteran receiver when I already have two of those guys. Offsides edits. Could the Steelers potentially sign Justin Simmons? Potentially, absolutely. I will say this. The decision to sign Deshaun Elliott, when you have guys like DeMonte Casey and Miles Killebrew on the roster, knowing Killebrew kind of plays that weird safety linebacker hybrid thing, I would guess that means they're not going to be in the market for another safety addition. Instead, they will probably look for a nickel corner in the draft, or maybe they find that overhang safety hybrid role, which isn't Justin Simmons' play style. I suppose Minka could go do that role, though, and put Simmons back deep, but I don't think you would want a more pure nickel. If you haven't already, now is the time to subscribe. Hit that sub button for more free NFL YouTube videos every single day. From Christopher Flores, I expect Patriots either drafting Maye or Marvin Harrison or trading down to draft J.J. McCarthy. In general, you don't ever really see a team trade down for a quarterback. Especially if they are in the top couple spots, you're not going to see them trade down and hope the quarterback falls to them. Because that means they think he's a franchise guy, and they're just going to take him straight up. But Maye or Harrison, absolutely. Neither of those picks or Jane Daniels would surprise me at all. This is a funny super chat. The real no, this one from Kevin Warren. Who's your edge one? I'm really high on Jared Verse. Maybe it depends on what team you're talking about, right? If you're talking for a team about Chicago, who historically speaking with Matt Eberflus likes to have some bigger bodied edges, maybe Jared Verse can make some more sense over an injury red flag guy for Latu. I have Dallas Turner as my number one edge. I think the athletic upside, what we saw this past year, puts him into the true round one range. Maybe again for a team like Chicago, hypothetically speaking, not naming names for what Kevin Warren does for a job. Maybe you could see a team like Chicago trade down a few spots, get some assets, and still end up with somebody like Jared Verse. Offsides edits. Now that Mike Williams is gone, I think the Steelers will sign Tyler Boyd. Wouldn't surprise me. Going back home for Tyler Boyd, being a solid veteran piece to help benefit everybody, grow that young core of George Pickens and probably a draft pick. I think that would make some sense for the Steelers. Santiago. So the Vikings are moving up for a QB, right? Yeah. I would be surprised if they didn't. Now, the way they don't is if something bad happens and the Giants snipe them or something like that, but I don't think they make that. They really did kind of win that trade. Like, the Texans did not get enough draft value back, so maybe they could pivot to a plan B. I think they made that trade to package some picks and get in the top 10, 7, whatever it is, and take a quarterback. So if that ends up being true, what quarterback will the Vikings end up drafting this year? Carty, do they get Drake Maye, Jay Daniels, surprise Bo Nix, Michael Penix? Sound off in the comments. If the Steelers then making a big trade at wide receiver, who would benefit Russ/Wilson the most? Did you mean Russ/Fields, by the way? It doesn't really matter. The answer is Brandon Aiyuk. You get the best one if you can. I'm not going to say that happens. It'd be a blockbuster, but that would help that team the most. DC times Viper. Who do you consider a draft sleeper or steals? Steals, you kind of got to figure out where they end up going before I could announce them as a steal. Drawing a blank on the Northern Iowa guy that got left out of the combine. Defensive lineman. That's a sleeper candidate there. I like Ray Davis from Kentucky as a sleeper candidate. I think he's super intriguing. In general, I don't love this day 3 draft class. After the top, 170, 200 picks, like, it gets thin for me. There's not a ton of guys I'm really, really in love with there. I'm sure I'll find some more. Isaac Arundo out of Louisville, because he's such a freak athlete with size and was kind of stuck playing behind with other good backs. I think that could make him a good sleeper candidate too. But I don't love the day 3 draft class. From Thiertha Gaming, I probably mispronounced that, but oh well. Deebo would be good for the Miami Dolphins. Well, yeah, of course he would. I also think Miami has zero chance of doing that, because you can't. There's just not. It's not good return on investment to have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and Deebo Samuel. Like, you're not maximizing your acquisition cost and your salary cap cost when somebody's not going to get fed enough during games.